Chapter 1, Cape Cod Genesis. So the author, Budd Hopkins, begins the chapter by asking, how is it that an artist became involved in the UFO phenomenon? Like he was in high school and college on the 40s and 50s. And that was when the first accounts of flying saucers appeared in newspapers. And in the beginning, he wasn't interested in UFOs. And he believed Air Force investigators saying that it was just weather balloons or hallucinations. And in 1964, he was living on a studio with his wife, and they had a guest, Ted. And they were going to a art colony in Provincetown, and they got on the car and they were driving on Route 6. And while they were driving, they noticed an object that was dark. The object was dark and it had an elliptical shape. And it was just hovering in the sky. And they were just looking at it. And they didn't know what it was. And the audio kept appearing and reappearing between the clouds. And they drove below it and they passed it. And then the object, they said that when they saw it from beneath, it was circular. And then when they took a better look at it, it seemed black. And they were just thinking that maybe it was a weather balloon. No, that it was just a balloon. But then Bob was like, where's the cord being attached to the balloon? And they ruled out that it was like a helicopter. So they kept driving and they passed the object. But they kept an eye on it. Then the object began moving and it went away, heading towards the ocean. And they were stunned. They didn't know what it was. So they went to the party and they told everybody what they saw. And then other guests said that they also had seen UFOs previously. Then Budd became more interested in the subject. And then he came across the story of Betty and Barney Hill because it was published on a magazine. And then he thought it was ridiculous to think that Bernie and Betty and Barney Hill were abducted by aliens. He thought that was ridiculous. Like he thought that maybe that the UFO that he saw on Route 6 might be a spacecraft. maybe like it was some type of extraterrestrial probe, that it was possible that there was, that he was open to the idea of extraterrestrial intelligence exploring other worlds like ours. But the idea that aliens would land, stop a car, and kidnap two people, and conduct physical examinations and take samples, that was just ridiculous. So Budd Hopkins was a painter, and he saw one of his paintings to an actor, and the actor was like, your painting reminds me of a movie, Genesis 1. And for some reason, like, I feel like a connection between your painting and the movie. And that's where Budd acknowledged that maybe this UFO thing kind of like got into his subconscious, and that it was kind of like on the back of his mind, and it was affecting his painting. So after 3 or 4 years, he began to come around the idea that the Betty and Barney Hill abduction might have happened just like the Hills remembered because of hypnosis. And the thing is that initially they didn't claim that there was an abduction. The first thing that they noticed is that in 1961, when they were in a remote highway in New Hampshire, there were like 2 hours that they could not account. Like, they got home 2 hours later than they expected, and they didn't know what was going on. So in the beginning, they didn't say, "Oh, we were abducted by aliens." They were just saying, "Oh, it's weird. We got home 2 hours later. We don't know what happened to the 2 hours." So then, after that, Barney began to have nightmares, and he used to get a recurrent ulcer. So he went to a psychiatrist for help, and because he seen that there was some type of hidden trauma that was causing all these problems. So the psychiatrist put Barney under hypnosis, and that's when the abduction came out. Betty Hill also went under hypnosis, but she didn't know the contents of Barney Hill's hypnosis sessions. And the doctor that conducted the hypnosis told them not to remember what happened during their trance periods. So the doctor recorded the sessions, and he was astounded. He was surprised that both accounts were similar, even though the Barney and Betty didn't speak about it. So Budd Hopkins bought a book about, and he began thinking that because of what happened with the Hills and the hypnosis, that he gave it like some type of validity. Like, it wouldn't be the best. It wouldn't be realistic to think that aliens will behave the same way. The aliens wouldn't behave as we would expect as us as humans will behave. Like we cannot expect aliens to like land on the lawn of the White House and say, take us to our leader. That's something that humans would do, but maybe not aliens. So there's also a mention of the Pascagoula abduction in 1973, and that's where Budd Hopkins began accepting the possibility of human sample taken by the aliens, because many abductees have submitted themselves to polygraph examinations and most appear to be telling the truth.